It is time to decide which Bitcoin mining stock you're going to buy. As Bitcoin starts to make its way back to $40,000, $45,000, and we're approaching the 2024 April halving, it is time to decide which mining stock you're going to buy. Even if you don't believe in the actual concept of crypto, well, trillions of dollars have started to believe in it. And you're in the business of making money, of course. By the end of this video, I'm going to share with you which stock I invested $100,000 in. Only one stock, and it's a mining stock, which I made recently. I want to share this with you and the potential. Now, you can see Bitcoin is heading back to this level. It's already at 35, it broke 35,000, and now it's aiming for $45,000. So, every time Bitcoin increases, the profitability of these mining stocks increase, and that's why these mining stocks end up making way to the top. So with that being said, let us dissect the financials of each company, and by the end you can make your own decision on which one is worth investing in. So let's jump right here and jump to Cipher Mining. Now this is a brand new company, but here I want you to see which actual company has better fundamentals and better growth potential. Now this is sitting at $3.62. You can see just today, the 2 days, it's actually almost 10% up because Bitcoin is moving up. So you can see here, profit margin is minus 20. By the way, most of these mining stocks are all in the minus, right, margin wise. But that's not something you're watching. What you're watching is total cash, total debt. Now this is a good cash to debt ratio, okay, only 29 million debt, which is very good, okay? And that's the first thing you want to look at in this current condition where interest rates are all-time high. You want to look at the debt because their interest payments are going to be a lot. Of course, as you have interest being cut, which is something to see in 2024, not just mining stocks that are going to benefit, but all other stocks that are heavily indebted. And this will give us this boost in the market, of course, especially in micro and low cap stocks, okay? So you'll find the short squeeze is coming for a lot of penny stocks in 2024 because now they're actually being put in a basket where there's pressure on top of it. So anyways, the float for this stock is 43 million, which means that's what traders are trading, 43 million float. That's very good. I don't know who that is. What's ugly face on my screen? Why are they showing me this? Anyways. Float 43 million. Actually, I know this guy, right? I don't like him. I seen him once. He's just a sleazy guy. 43 million. Held by insiders, 83 million. Okay, that means the insiders are betting on this stock. But one thing for sure here, guys, is implied shares outstanding is 250 million. That means they have 200 million left to issue. Okay? So that makes the float higher, and that's the risk of investing in this stock. Otherwise, everything is great here with the total debt. Total cash might not be great, right? But it seems like as Bitcoin increases, the cost will start to decrease. And that's something you have to look at is cost. But let's compare it to Marathon. This is a well-known company in the Bitcoin space. It holds the biggest holdings of Bitcoin. And if we go to total cash, 113 million. They've got about, I think, 10,000 Bitcoins. So that they're in the business of holding Bitcoin rather than selling it. And their total debt is 700 million. Now that's a lot, 120%. That's a lot, guys. And usually when you have something like this, then you have to also examine their cost. And the cost is not great for this specific company per Bitcoin. Their float is 173 million. There isn't much room to issue more shares, only 50,000 million. Okay? So 50 million, my bad. 50 million is the remaining implied shares outstanding. So that's how much they can issue more on top of that float. It's not a lot, so it wouldn't scare investors. However, it has 24% short interest, which, by the way, a lot of mining stocks do. Their profit margin is the worst, 277 million. If we compare it to RIOT platform, which is actually the best out of all mining stocks, Their float is 176 million and implied shares outstanding is 198. There's only 20 million left to issue. Okay, so that's great. And if we look at the total cash, 289 million, that's great. Their total debt is only 22 million. So that's amazing, right? Fundamentally wise. What happens after the halving, we don't know. Cost might increase. So that's another thing we have to look at. Okay? But they hold 7,000 Bitcoins. So they can start to sell. If Bitcoin is at $100,000, they can start to sell Bitcoin. But investors very soon will start to fade away from this idea, because if they're not mining and mining efficiently, then you're just showing off your money that you mined a year ago. So when they release it in the earnings that we sold X and X Bitcoins to make X and X, the investors will be like, well, what about the new Bitcoins? How many are you mining and at what cost? So that's one thing to be aware of. But fundamentally, this is great, right? Total cash 289. And they've always beat earnings. So this is better than Marathon and better than Cipher mining. Okay? They hold Bitcoin and they've got total cash of 289 million. Now, another thing you can look at is operating cash. But like I said, this is a new sector. Only 20 companies exist. So this is a pretty fresh sector. Now, let's move on to the stock that I actually hold $100,000 of. And I think some people mentioned this to me. And I done some research on it myself. And this is WULF. Now, WULF is a penny stock. It's sitting at $1.13 for a whole month. Even as Bitcoin was making moves to the upside, it hasn't actually moved. So it's shook. Now, what investors are watching is the cost, and the cost for this, this is the last earning report, was $11,000, but that's due to summer months. Their all-in cost on average was $7,000. So this is something we'll see in the coming months in the winter time. Okay, where is WULF sitting at? Sitting at $1.10. 6 months return was 300%. If we look at what happened in 2021 when it was just released, it actually made an all-time high of $33. Now, if we look at statistics, we will find that their float is 100 million, but they also have 50, double the float to issue. But the actual investors hold 52% of the float, or the company. Well, not the investors, but the insiders. And they've reiterated that they will not sell or issue shares unless it's for expansion. So they don't need the money because they just became cash flow positive. Okay? Delivered the highest monthly self-monitor revenue. Now, when you become cash flow positive, ideally you should be making at least, for penny stock, double. But this stock hasn't moved because, again, we look at the debt. It's 120 million in debt. But they have wow, I just messed up that word. Let's change the word. They have confirmed that they're using that cash that they're making to pay off the debt. So as we see this debt coming down, their costs decrease, right? And they only have 8 million in cash. Still good. And they're catching up, of course. So the next couple of quarters, and you see the profit margin for a penny stock is the same as Marathon, which is at $9. But this is like, a stock that measures performance of Bitcoin because they hold a lot of Bitcoin. After MSTR, this is the second company that holds it. But when we're talking penny stocks, well, the float is 108 million, 54% is held by insiders, and they want to make money. So just like Cipher, they're going to make sure, because 82% of the float holds this, just like Cipher, these guys are going to make sure that they make as much money as possible. And they only do that if they move in a way that won't scare off investors. So this here, implied shares outstanding, I don't think we'll see that being added here anytime soon, because they just turned cash flow positive. So they don't need to dilute any shares anymore. Okay? So Revenue is 40 million, but this will increase as Bitcoin prices increase. And I have $100,000 of this. Now, I don't know what I'm looking for, but 100% seems very reasonable, okay? Especially when the 1 year target is $3. That's what they put up. But 100% means we come to this level, okay? Just right here, 210. 210 is decent and it's reasonable to see. But it's a little bit confusing because it hasn't moved even when Bitcoin moved, and that's because of the debt. And you know, interest rates is putting pressure on a lot of penny stocks. So that's the explanation for this. And of course, their earnings is due in a few days. So we might see this stock back here to 185 or down further to test support levels before accumulating buying power and pushing back up. Okay, so this is a stock for the risk takers, but also those who want bigger rewards than usual. Okay, guys, that's me done. I'll see you very soon and appreciate you for watching. Hopefully this little exercise gave you a little understanding of how to read statistics and make up a decision on which stock is worth investing in. Now, which is better out of all these stocks that I just mentioned? Well, it's RIOT platforms, okay? Because they have the best fundamentals, but also they hold a lot of Bitcoin. Okay, guys, see you very soon. I appreciate you for watching. Bye-bye.